I've been proposed to 9 times. One of them proposed on the first date and was serious about it. Granted, we had lots of lengthy phone calls and emails before our date. We did thorough pre-qualifying. A couple guys proposed within the first few weeks. I've been told by multiple guys, even those who didn't propose, that I'm the marrying kind. What's interesting or sad is that I wasn't in love with most of them. I wasn't stringing them along or trying to manipulate them. I was honestly unaware that they felt so deeply and completely for me, or so they thought. I was enthusiastic and loving and giving them everything I thought they wanted because it felt good to me. I wanted to be that person for them. I wanted to be everything they wanted. They felt they were in love with me. And I'm not saying all of this to say that I'm better than you in any way. I'm very flawed. I can be sad and angry and depressed and want to hide away and bitchy and shut down and insecure. I can be mean to myself and to others. I've done things that I'm ashamed of. But I wasn't showing those flaws to those guys, at least not to most of the guys. Those guys were falling in love with the idea of me, the perfect Laurel, because that's what I was putting out. The problem was that those guys only saw a side of me, not the private side of me. I had somehow, unknowingly, divorced myself from myself. I didn't know how to be anything else. I didn't know how to be that vulnerable person. I had become so walled up and closed off that I didn't know how to show my true side, my vulnerable side, my real self to anyone. And because I had silenced that side of me because of painful past relationships and unhealthy situations that really scared me away, I didn't know how to unlock me again. It felt natural to me. 9 guys asked me to marry them because they thought they were effortlessly getting this ideal woman. This woman who's nice and nurturing and fun and adventurous and sexy and sensual and serious and everything perfect all the time, without seeing the vulnerable side of me. It was like they were glad to not have to deal with anything real, with moods, with sadness and fears and anger and failures and weakness and an expression of vulnerability. And that's scary, I feel. I feel it's scary that so many men thought it would be that easy and wanted that easy and wanted that surface. Someone who falls in love with perfect is not looking for real love. And here's the thing. There are so many women who do what I did. They try to be perfect. But what's perfect? On the first date, on the third date, on the 5th date, on the 20th date, they continue to try and be perfect. They don't show their vulnerability. But if you want to find real, you have to be real. And real is you. Real is the person who you hide from the public. Real is the person who cries when you're watching a commercial that triggers you because you're in a vulnerable mood, or just because you're sad, or depressed, or hurt, or remembering something, or thinking of how ashamed you are. Real is the person who is stronger now because you've gone through so many times of weakness, of pain, of failure, of hurt, and of shame. Real is showing that side of you, that side that you're not so proud of. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be so real in front of your guy that you go to the bathroom in front of each other and burp and fart, and some things are sacred, and I don't think you need to show that. what's interesting is that once I rediscovered myself again, once I became firm in my core values, in my needs versus my wants, in who I truly am, in my truest form, in my truest expression of myself, once I realized what I bring to the table, aside from the facade of perfection that I had really become accustomed to playing, which is a little bit like a role, being perfect, then I was able to actually get into real and deep relationships. And it was obvious that those relationships were different, that those relationships were true. Men were falling in love with me, the real and complete and multifaceted me. And I was falling in love with them. And that's the key. I was falling in love with them too. It was no longer one-sided because my heart was finally open because I allowed it to be. I made the decision. My heart was open because for the first time I was vulnerable. I showed myself. I had to open myself in order to be vulnerable. And once I was vulnerable and my heart was open, I was able to feel for them too. You cannot love another if you are closed off and shut down. And this is actually the reason why so many relationships are off balance, where one person feels more than the other, particularly at the beginning of a relationship. And it's because one person shares and the other doesn't. One person is vulnerable and the other one is still testing them or waiting for them to prove themselves. The one who really feels and falls is the one who's being vulnerable. The one who doesn't feel is the one who's shut down. And that's why I say, get vulnerable even on the first date. Share a little bit of who you are because you're opening yourself up to the possibility of feeling. You're giving yourself permission. If you want real and lasting and deep and equal love, you have to be real and open and vulnerable and show all of those sides of yourself and stay real. Even during those tough times when you're scared and you want to clam up and shut down, because you don't want someone to fall in love with the perfect you. Because let me tell you, one day, someday, for sure, you will show the other side of you. And you don't want him to think, wait, who are you? I didn't know this side of you. I don't know you. You're not the person I fell in love with. Because they fell in love with perfect. It's like wearing makeup all the time. I actually had a boyfriend who said he loved me, and pretty quickly we went out of town for what I call a make or break. It's where you decide if it's a yes or a no. It's, when you go out of town together, it's a lot. And he saw me for the first time without makeup on, with my hair pulled back, and he said, "Wait, where's Laurel? What? Who are you? Put your makeup on." I put my makeup on, and suddenly he was like, "Oh, there you are." He had fallen for perfect Laurel, not Laurel. And I could tell that he looked at me differently without makeup on. And when I realized that he was in love with perfect Laurel, I started to view him differently too. And I started to realize, oh my God, you don't know me, actually. Because it wasn't just about the makeup, it was about everything. You don't want to be fallen in love with by someone who doesn't know you. And you don't want to fall in love with someone who you don't know. And you definitely don't want to be proposed to by someone who doesn't know you. You want a relationship that is real and deep and reciprocal, because that's true love. And as soon as you allow yourself to be real and deep and vulnerable, then you're giving yourself permission to fall in love with them. And you're giving them permission to see you and fall in love with you too. But don't test them and wait and see if they can prove themselves trustworthy, because you're wasting your time and theirs too. Because guess what? If you do that for several dates, suddenly when you show yourself, they might say, wait, who are you? this isn't the person who I was falling for. Be you from day one, from date one, be you. Not, laying naked on the table, oh my gosh, this is me, all sides, but show glimpses of you and your vulnerable self from the very beginning so that you can open your heart to loving them and they can see you as who you truly are, because that's what makes you lovable and that's what makes you able to love another too. For more information on me or my dating coaching, you can go to screwingtherules.com, and you can go buy my new book, Screwing the Rules, The No Games Guide to Love.